During a high school class project, my teacher told me it's unrealistic being a CEO. It's been my dream to be a CEO since I was 10. So I told her, it is realistic. Follow me on my journey to learn what it takes to become a CEO.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Realistic CEO podcast. So today I'm going to be interviewing Aaron Lawrie. He's one of the franchise owners of Crumble Cookies. So hi Aaron, how are you doing?
Good, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So my first question I want to ask you is, what made you what was your inspiration to become a franchise owner?
That's a great question. So it wasn't really anything I had thought of, but it was as a result of a conversation I had with a good friend of mine at church. So his name is Troy, and he had started the first Crumbl in Connecticut. He was the first franchise owner of the very first Crumbl in Connecticut. And, we were serving in leadership roles in church together. So we spent a lot of time together. And he was sharing with me everything about Crumbl, like even when he was first considering doing Crumbl, from the beginning. And it was always exciting to me. I'd always ask him every time I saw him, so how's it going? How are things coming along? He told me about the very first one we opened over in Manchester, Connecticut. And he had gotten permission to open up 3 of them. And he had partnered up with another friend of his, Tucker, who was the operating owner of those 3 Crumbls. And it was going so well for him that he decided to go and try and get permission to open up 3 more Crumbls. And so he got that permission, and then he came, and one day, we were cleaning the church, and he came over to me and he said, "Hey, Aaron, how do you feel about leaving your day job?" And so it wasn't really anything that I had considered before. I mean, my background, I'm an engineer. I was working at a company where we build submarines for the Navy. And so opening up a franchise was a little off my radar, but at the same time, I was just so intrigued by the concept that initially I wasn't sure if he was joking or not, and kind of brushed it off, but then I really started to give it some thought. I'm like, wow, this is, I could see myself doing this. Because, I tried the product. It was delicious. I had gone up to the one in Manchester. I loved the concept. I loved the vibe. And so once he planted that seed, then I'm like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do.
So what were the steps it took to make it so you are the owner of one of the franchises inside of Crumble Cookie?
So what we had to do is the 3 of us, Troy and Tucker, they were already kind of in there as far as Crumbl was concerned because they had previously applied. But then I had to get approved as an owner. And so basically it was just an application process with Crumbl, an interview process. And it was, they're pretty, it's still a pretty young company. The first Crumbl opened in 2017, but then it was it was just a matter of getting a chance to meet some of the corporate people and making sure that we had a good connection. They thought I'd work well for the brand, and then they all got the approval, thumbs up, and then we moved forward.
So what was your experience like coming from being an engineer to owning your own a business in the franchise? How was that experience like?
It was definitely an interesting transition. So the last position I had at my job, I was an engineering supervisor. So I supervised a large group of engineers for the previous 6 years from when I was there. And so it was definitely a different type of environment, right? Going from supervising a bunch of engineers to supervising a bunch of people that are making cookies. But one of the things that was a big change for me is, when in my engineering role, I was responsible for a lot of projects that had event horizons that were, 6 months, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, some 10 years out, right? Where it was going to be a long time for us to see completion, for us to see that satisfaction, to see, okay, this job is done. And then I come to an industry where it's all just immediate, right? I mean, we're doing quick turnover of product because it's a matter of just that instant gratification for the customer, where we get to just hand them a box of cookies, they have a big smile on their face, and that was one of the things that really did it for me. Because before I made a decision that this is what I wanted to do, I spent some days working in the Manchester location, Manchester, Connecticut, because I wanted to see what the grind was like. I wanted to see, is this something that I would love to do? And one of the best parts of that whole experience for me was that time. What were those times when I got to hand that box of cookies to our customers? Because who doesn't love getting those box of cookies? It causes a great big smile on their face, and it wasn't anything that I experienced at my last job, right? I didn't have that, because everything, all the projects were so far out. I didn't have that regular, constant, hey, I'm making somebody's day. I'm making them happy, giving a little bit of extra joy in their lives. And really, there's nothing like that.
Would you say you going from being a supervisor as an engineer to owning your own business, would you say that has helped you be able to be a leader to the people that are working for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that I've always, always heard about engineers, and I've always shared it as well, is I'm grateful for my background in engineering, because one of the things it does is, engineers, they kind of help teach you how to think about things, help you problem solve. And that's something that's just, you could take that anywhere. And so that's been super helpful for me just in life in general. And so especially, there are some unique challenges for different things that come up in the cookie business. And so having that background has been great. But also, yeah, I mean, some of the leadership skills that you learn, most leadership skills, if they're good leadership skills, they're transferable to pretty much any industry.
Why is that?
Well, because, I mean, really, as a leader, you're helping develop people, and you're trying to relate better to people and helping them. You've got your business that you're trying to be successful at, but you also, a good leader wants to help their people become successful, and they want to, it's. In a way, a good leader is like a good parent, right? A good parent wants their children to be better than they are. And if I can help develop somebody to become better than I am, then I feel like that's a success. And that's, whenever I'm working at the store, if I'm either, mixing dough or balling dough or whatever I'm doing, right? And I'm there with somebody else, I always tell people, they should be better at doing this than I am, because, that they're doing it on a much more regular basis. And so, when I first open a store with a new staff, I'm typically the best one there. But that should be short-lived. I should be teaching and helping people grow. And ideally, in my mind, it goes beyond, making cookies, right? Yes, I mean, I want to try and get people to be better at the whole cookie making process than I am. And I think they are. There's a lot of people there that in their particular job, they're better at it than I am. But I'd love to be able to extend that beyond cookie making too. Like my, the manager I have hired, the shift leads that are there, especially them. I mean, everybody, but right. I mean, as I want to try and help people grow and just generally all around be better than me.
So you said, like you had problem solving skills that you learned as an engineer. Like, what are some problems that you had to solve as a franchise owner?
Good question. So, I mean, there are things as far as, as a franchise owner, like just some of the getting started things as far as, what do I need to do as far as licensing? What do I know? Because every town, every area that you go into is a little bit different as far as what the requirements are. And so, there's the researching and the figuring out, what do we need to do to move the project forward. Then there's, during the build out process, this particular product isn't available right now, or this construction crew isn't going to be able to make it in time. And so what do we have to do in order to still keep moving forward and still being able to open in a time frame? Because the longer it takes to open, then that's that much longer before you're making money. But then once the store is up and running, it could be something as far as I get a call and something's not right with the ovens, or maybe this batch of cookies came out of the ovens and they're a little underdone in the middle, and hey, why is that? Or the consistency of the dough is not quite right. So the actual cookie making process is baking in general is a bit of an art form, and I didn't have any background in that at all. So that was a bit of a learning curve for me, but it was a fun learning curve because the end result was some pretty good cookies.
Oh, so being a franchise owner, did you have to come up with your investing the business by yourself, or did you get help to be able to build your own franchise?
So, and I believe that some franchises are different, but in this case, we had to come up with all the capital ourselves. So, and Troy, he's the financial partner, so that he gave capital for us to be able to get these franchises up and running, which has been fantastic, and it's helping us. We're starting with Crumbl, but we're definitely not ending with Crumbl.
So, well, what would you say, give some advice to me, to become a better leader, so I can be a franchise owner or a CEO or something along those lines?
So, as far as franchising is concerned, I would definitely say look for that hot concept. As far as Crumbl was concerned, Crumbl was really starting to explode out west. Nobody was doing it out east, and so Troy was kind of he had an eye on that. I mean, it started out in Utah, and Troy was he's got a lot of family out there, so he was making some visits, and it was great because he saw it and saw how well it was doing, and then found out that hey, there's a franchising opportunity. Nobody's doing it out this way. There were some in some other New England states, and we were able to try it out, and so it was great to be able to bring it to Connecticut first, and then bring it to Western Mass. I mean, it's been fantastic. So one piece of advice is to look at other areas of the country, see what's going on there, seeing what's popular, and see hey, can I have the opportunity to be the first to bring it to a new area? That's huge. Because that first one in Connecticut just was it exploded. It was just a great success. But as far as just being a business owner in general, I mean, there's just some great great skills, things that you could focus on to try and try and develop into that business owner that you want to be. I mean, time management, that's something you want to really focus on. That's a huge thing, because sometimes you can get caught up in the minutia, and just it's making the to-do lists, prioritizing, trying to figure out this is what I need to do that's really going to have the most impact on my business, and these are the things that I can put off. The ability to pivot is also a big one, right? To be able to, if you're so committed to going down a particular path and you've got blinders on that you can't realize that, hey, maybe I need to adjust, and redirect and pivot, then you can end up, taking a big loss because you were too focused on, the initial goal, not realizing that you needed to change the goal and make a move accordingly.
So, are you able to keep a positive environment inside your business? Like, say maybe like a employee might be having a bad day, or you might have like a customer that doesn't like how like the business is running, or like the way that they got treated. So how are you able to keep the environment positive?
That definitely happens. I mean, we've had our experiences even in our West Springfield Crumbl. I mean, overall, we try and keep a positive environment, but it doesn't always happen. I mean, there's going to be customers that are unhappy because the brand is so popular, and we've had some long lines and some long waits as a result, and so some unhappy customers, and and then even employees as well, right? They've got some things going on in their lives. And so some things to remember is, one, you never know what's going on in somebody's life. If you've got an unhappy customer, if you've got an unhappy employee, right, there could be so many different things that are going on. I mean, right? I mean, we all have, a lot of people try and, have that face on to where they're not showing everything that's going on behind the scenes. But if we could see through and see what was going on, then there'd be people that just were, begging for a smile, begging for some positive affirmation, something like that. And so, the best thing that I can do as a leader is to try and stay positive myself, and to recognize people, and to recognize the good that they're doing. And, because there's always areas that can be improved upon as well, right? But I want to try and, it's my responsibility as a leader to try and help them, to help my employees grow by, if there's something they need to be doing or changing, then I do, I can help correct some bad behavior, but at the same time, I always want to try and make sure I'm recognizing the positive that they're doing as well, because even if there's something that maybe they're not doing quite right, there's also going to be something that I can compliment them on, something that I can try and help them, and just and always trying to have that welcoming environment. If to kind of go back on the customer side, if a customer comes in and they kind of feel like it's a busy vibe, or it's just kind of an unhappy vibe in the store, and the customer can feel that, right? Then they're gonna kind of take that on themselves, right? But if they feel like it's a positive environment when they walk in, then maybe if they've got a little bit extra of a weight, or maybe if they didn't have the best day coming in, they can feel that positive vibe when they walk in, and then they'll inherit that also. So it's what we create. So one of the other ways that we try and make sure that we can kind of offset the potential of the negative customer experience, or the potential of a unhappy employee, is just always try and create that positive environment. When a customer comes in, we say, "Welcome to Crumbl," and we try and have good positive conversations with them, and just make sure that we know that we appreciate them, and that we try our best to hear people, and to make that human connection with them.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge running your own franchise so far?
The biggest challenge, I think the biggest challenge is probably doing better at duplicating myself. It's what I want to do, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier in the conversation, but to just try and to duplicate the mindset that I've got, and the enthusiasm that I have, and the skills. I mean, some people are a sponge, and they'll soak it up, and others, they're maybe a little bit indifferent. And so I always want to try and give people as much of a chance, as much of an opportunity as possible. Because again, right, I mean, I don't know someone's background. I don't know what they've been through, but anybody that walks through the door that I'm going to take the time to say, yes, I'm going to hire you, that I've made a commitment to that person, I feel like. And so I want to make sure that if I've taken the time to actually gone through and hire somebody, that I'm giving them as much of an opportunity as I can to uh, to to grow, to learn. I mean, not everybody's gonna be that sponge, but if I'm going to hire you, and I'm going to see what I can do to try and uh, to give you that growth opportunity. Doesn't work out for everybody, but then sometimes we have to part ways. But I want to make sure that if it gets to that point, then I feel like I've done everything I can to help that person be successful.
What is the most important thing that you're looking for, like when you're like doing the interviews to hire somebody?
The most important thing I'm looking for would be that sense that somebody's willing to put forward the effort. Because most of the people we hired, like as far as, well, and this spans anything, right? I mean, baking, engineering, whatever it is, right? If you've got somebody that's just willing to put in the effort, that's just got that that spark in them, that maybe I don't know how to do something, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to learn. That's the biggest key. And if I know I've got limitations, right? Like I know I'm not going to be a basketball star, but generally speaking, in my mind, I always want to feel like I can do anything, right? If I put my mind to it, I can do anything. Again, I think basketball's off the table for me, but if there's anything that like I can set my mind to, I feel like, and it's something that I want to do, that I've got the desire to do it, because that's huge also. Then that's what I'm looking for in somebody else, is somebody that's just they've got that work ethic. That
How are you able to develop that mindset?
So some people have it just because they were raised that way or they acquired it. And for those that don't, one of the best ways is through example, right? If I'm setting the tone, and I'm coaching people along the way, and then also I can show them the positive results of having that attitude through conversation, through coaching, through mentoring, that's the best way to develop it.
What would you say what would you say is your biggest challenge being a leader for to somebody that might not have the same mindset as you, in the beginning?
It can definitely be frustrating, right? I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of internal struggle where they just don't get it, right? I mean, I want to try and help, and I want to try and do this, and they're just not getting it. And sometimes I was like, I'll think, why aren't they getting it? What? And I have to remind myself, all right, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what's that roadblock for them, or that series of roadblocks that are preventing them. But it can be a matter. It's just a matter of persistence, and again, trying my best to stay positive and stay encouraging. And again, I mean, it does it does at some point get to that level where, okay, maybe they're not going to get it, but I want to feel like I really want to feel like I've exhausted everything before I get to that point, because I really don't want to give up on people. It's because I wouldn't want somebody giving up on me, and so I wouldn't want to give up on somebody as well.
What do you say has been your favorite part of being a franchise owner?
My favorite part is really got to be the working, the interpersonal relationships, right? The people, the relationships, Even though it could be frustrating sometimes with working with some team members, overall the team is, it's great. I mean, the ability to try and just build something from nothing, right? I mean, to know that I walked into that empty shell of a building, a year ago, and now have been able to build a Crumbl there, hire all those employees, train all those employees to where they don't need me. That's huge. I mean, that to be able to grow a business to the point to where they don't need you, that's great. And so being able to do that, plus also the leadership relationships that I have, like the relationship I have with the other owners. I mean, that's priceless to me. The other two, between Troy and Tucker, I mean, I love those guys. They are, that's what makes this enjoyable for me as well, is the opportunity to have those relationships.
So being able to have those relationships, would you say that's made like this experience easier for you?
Easier than what I was doing before.
Like, as in like you're able to have those relationships, so now you're able to like talk it out with other people. Well, like maybe you might not have the answer to like a problem that you have like with the store.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it was, I almost, in a way, I almost felt like I was cheating because Tucker was the operating owner of those first 3 Crumbls, and so I've been able to just absorb so much knowledge from him. So he had to really, go through the trenches, and like I said, it's almost like I got an easy ride by being able to get so much knowledge. I don't want to minimize the effort that it took to get some these other ones open, because I mean there were definitely some rough days grinding things out, but it's huge to be able to have those relationships, to be able to bounce ideas off of, to absorb knowledge, to talk things through. I mean, that's really the fun stuff, and to be able to just plan things like our own leadership conferences, to be able to take our GMs to different locations and have conferences with them and plan things for our future. I mean, that's really where the fun is at.
What is something that you learned about business that you didn't know before becoming a franchise owner?
I learned, and you're asking me the really tough questions here, Mike. So something that I learned that I didn't know before. I guess I know I've been going a lot back to relationships and people, but I guess one of the things that I didn't necessarily, I had a feel that I'd have to, but it's different when you have a feel for it as opposed to when you're actually in it, and just the level of sometimes interpersonal conflict that you have to deal with when you've got a pretty large staff of mostly younger employees. And that was something that was, again, I knew that I have a mostly younger employee, so I knew that I'd have to deal with that, but to actually experience it was something completely different. So that was something that has taken a little bit of getting used to, and hopefully I feel like I've learned and grown in having to work through some of these things, because you also you're a boss, but at the same time you kind of become a father to some of the kids and some of the employees, and so that's in a good way.
So you said that the biggest challenge is working with people, but also you say your favorite part is being able to work with others. So how is that how does that happen?
Oh man, that's they called me out on it, but it's true. It's and when you shared that with me, immediately what came to my mind was relating it to family. because some of your greatest joys and happiness in life will come from family, and some of your greatest heartache in life will also be related to family, right? Because it's in a family, those are that's who your and it could be family by blood, family by relationship, but whoever you call family, right? It's that's where your heart is at. And so, you can get those greatest joys, but also because you're so open, you can have those greatest heartaches as well. And so when you asked me that question, it made me think of that. How can you have those two things coexist at the same time? And in my mind, that's how, because you can have that in family, and you can definitely have that in business as well with those relationships, right? Because you've got these people that you're trying to build up, and that you're trying to and you're looking at these parts of your team who you want to try and have them succeed and have them be better than you, and you invest a lot in them, not just time but emotion and everything else, and then you find out, oh, they're gonna move on, they're quitting, they've got another job, they're gonna do something different, and so in a way a piece of you goes along with them, and then there could be some disagreements, or maybe somebody does something that maybe they shouldn't have done, and you got to fire them, and it's a necessity, but it's also a heartbreak. So you can definitely have you can have joys and you can have sorrows all in the same from the same relationship.
So for the last question, I'm gonna just be lighthearted, nothing about business. What is one fun fact about yourself that nobody knows?
I don't know if there's any fun fact that nobody knows. One thing that most people don't know about me is that a fun fact that I tend to give out is I've spent at one point I spent 5 days underwater in a submarine.
5
days, yep. So that's something not a lot of people know about me, but it's a fun fact.
How was that experience?
Well, thankfully I'm not claustrophobic, so I was fine doing it, but it does get boring after a while. I mean, I was there because I was testing out a system. I needed to be there, but when I wasn't working, there's not a lot to do during your downtime. It's a tube underwater. It's not a lot of things to entertain yourself.
Thanks for coming. I really do appreciate this episode. I actually learned a lot. I really do appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you asking me. I mean, I think this is a fantastic thing. It was a great experience. Just being able to be here in West Springfield and getting to meet your dad and have him part of my life in a way, it was fun. So when he reached out to see if I'd be okay to do this, I was more than happy to. And I think that just seeing how you've learned. I mean, it just shows me how much you've learned from your dad, which is fantastic, and the other influences in your life. And so that you're doing this at such a young age, I think is awesome. So I appreciate you inviting me down here.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
So guys, that's the end of the show. So thank you for watching. Peace.